murderers.
Dr. Oren was interviewed by the Salem Radio Network. Bob Agnew reporting.
The Air Force says a deadly Osprey aircraft crash last November off Japan was caused by cracks in a metal gear and the pilot's decision to keep flying instead of heeding multiple warnings that he should land. The Air Force released its investigation report Thursday. That crash killed 8 Air Force Special Operations Command service members and led to a months-long military-wide grounding of the Osprey fleet. Rough day on Wall Street as the Dow was down by 494 points. The Nasdaq dropped 45. More at townhall.com.
Anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
The new 2-part documentary, Trump's Front Row Joes, is the first inside look at Trump's diehard fans.
The Front Row Joes are incredible people.
Camping out for days to be in the front row at every Trump rally to support their hero.
The kind of basis for all the rallies, there's like dead fans.
Trump's Front Row Joes, from executive producer Sean Spicer.
You had to love Mr. Donald Trump.
Trump's Front Row Joes. Watch it now. Go to salemnow.com. salemnow.com.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Stocks tumbled after weak data raised worries the Federal Reserve may have missed its window to cut interest rates before undercutting the economy's growth. The S&P 500 sank 1.4% after a report showed U.S. manufacturing activity is still shrinking. The action was even stronger in the bond market, where the yield on a 10-year Treasury yield sank below 4%. After data showed more U.S. workers applied for unemployment benefits. The Dow was down 494 points to close at 40,347. The Nasdaq lost 405 to 17,194. The S&P 500 dropped 75 points to 54.46. New York oil fell $1.60 to $76.31 per barrel. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. You know it's hot when the low temp this evening is still 77 degrees. Tomorrow, more heat, 98 to high with mostly cloudy skies, a little sunshine, and a feels like temp hitting 112. For the weekend, rain chances stronger on Saturday, 60% to go with a high of 92, while on Sunday, a blend of sunshine and clouds, 40% chance of showers, a high of 94. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Please press button now. No, number 1.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5-9 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And what an edition of Sports Talk it is going to be. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to college football season 2024 for the Tigers and the Gamecocks. I know others around the state have gotten a jump on them. Clemson started practice this afternoon. Gamecocks will do it in the morning, in this show, just like those teams, is bringing you the energy tonight. We are fired up jacked up, pumped up. I'm so fired up, jacked up, pumped up, Chris Bergen. I ran 10 gassers before I came into the studio just so I could have a
Why didn't you do that
feel.
Monday or Tuesday when the other teams in our state got started?
Well, I was kind of building
you're
towards this.
You're so Carolina Clemson centric that we got to break you out of your shell, Phil, and understand that there are several teams in our state that have already begun practice
of the Chanticleers. You know, watch yourself.
There are other teams in our state that began practice earlier this week. These guys are latecomers.
I know.
Maybe that's what it is. You're used to, you like getting up late.
I'm
so
pacing myself.
That must be what it is.
I'm pacing myself. But I wanted to feel, what the guys are going to be feeling. So out on Two Notch Road this afternoon, before I came in, I ran 10 gassers in the traffic. And I must say that it was quite impressive. It was quite impressive.
I would imagine so. Clemson actually called a break today about an hour before they were supposed to practice. They had a huge thunderstorm come through Clemson. I'm assuming the humidity's up, but guaranteed the temperatures went down. So they actually began practice stretching in their indoor before going outside. So they might have actually called a break in day one.
Yeah.
They'll probably not day two, but, at least to get started. Now, Dabo talked about he loves the heat. Said he ran 4 miles today at lunch just to get into the spirits of things. Much like you.
That's not as impressive as 10 gassers.
Well, it's true, especially on Two Notch. I'll give you credit for that.
Or maybe I just had gas. That was what it was.
Then you clearly did not eat at Sewell's today for lunch.
I clearly did not. I clearly did not. Well, I do pity the boys out there because it is hot and it is humid. It was 100 plus on my way in. So I'm sure everybody will take all precautions and be very careful with these players, man. You just cannot take any risks, and water breaks are mandatory. And, if guys start feeling kind of funky, you got to let them step aside. 50 years ago, your manhood would be questioned, but not anymore.
No.
Smart. You gotta treat it smartly. So we'll hear from Dabo Sweeney. Anything newsy out of his conference today?
As typical Dabo, very excited, positive. He feels really good about the team. Said they're probably as healthy as they have been in quite some time going into preseason camp. Really likes the way the guys came in, worked out throughout the summer. Thought it was interesting. David Hood from TigerNet asked him about the weights, the big weigh-in day yesterday, and did anything surprise him? And Dabo said, well, no, not really, because we've got these guys all summertime, so we know what's going on with them. So nobody that we anticipated being 250 pounds showed up yesterday at 300 pounds, so to speak.
Yeah.
And he did joke towards the tail end of his press conference, got it in the audio as well. The Panthers are having their Fan Fest today at Clemson as well. So that had to be delayed because of the weather. But Dabo said he got to run into a Jadeveon Clowney and said, finally got Clowney to Clemson. Doggone it. Now, I wasn't around. I was in the state, but I didn't follow recruiting nearly as much as I do now.
Yeah.
Where was Clemson's positioning with Jadeveon before he decided to go to USC?
As I recall, never really much of a factor. They were actually more of a factor with Gilmore and the linebacker Holloman. Yeah, am I right about that, Holloman?
Yep.
They were more, if I'm not mistaken, I'll go back and check the history books. I believe that they were committed to Clemson, those two, before Tommy Bowden was fired. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
And then they opened it back up. Double check me on that. I could be wrong, but for some reason I think that to be the case. But I think Clemson was more involved there. Clowney was more, I don't even recall Clemson being that strong of a factor with him, to be honest with you. Remember, too, with Clowney, he carried on his recruiting 2 weeks past signing day because he wanted to announce on Valentine's Day.
Which was what, his birthday or his mother's birthday?
Yeah,
or
something like
if
that.
I remember the story. Yeah.
And Coach Bobby Carroll, bless his heart, he wanted Clowney to be the number one player in the country, and he pushed him and promoted him and pushed the media, and doggone if he didn't. Of course, he deserved it.
Really good.
He deserved it, I'm sure. I mean, he's probably as good a running back as he was as a defensive end. He just
could
ran.
You imagine him turning the corner on an option?
Over. I mean, I remember the first time Coach Carroll mentioned his name to me. I was checking on some players, and he said, I got a young guy coming up by the name of, all right, watch the name, Jadeveon Clowney. And that was a mouthful to begin with the first time I heard it. And he was just a young pup then. And, of course, he grew and he grew and he grew, and he became one of the all-time greats in this state. And I think he's had a better than average NFL career, maybe not the kind of career you expect for a number one pick. He's moved around a lot. He's made a bunch of money. He's had to deal with some injuries. Not sure he has been the consistently dominant player that he was expected to be. Maybe he had some.
I would agree with that.
Maybe he had some seasons, a couple of early in his career before the injury sort of caught up with him a little bit, where he was dominant. But I think age and injury maybe they have caught up with him a little bit. But yeah, Clemson hosting the Panthers today for a fan fest, which is getting rained on, like you mentioned. But what a coup for Clemson!
Yeah.
To put that on. I'd like to know what the rationale was. Of course, maybe, I don't know, maybe South Carolina. I don't know if they approached South Carolina, but could South Carolina have held something like that at Williams-Brice, considering they've got this big soccer thing going on Saturday night?
Probably not. And, you wonder and I know David Tepper was not around and clearly does not understand the history of the Carolina Panthers, the way he treats our state. But nonetheless, you wonder if it's somewhat of a thank you to Clemson for hosting them during the team's first year as an NFL franchise. Can't have training camp at Wofford, but we can do a fan fest at Clemson to appease everybody in the Palmetto State.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that was the previous owners who used Clemson for that first year after Mike McGee said no to Williams-Brice. And, of course, even though Jerry Richardson was a Wofford guy, his son Mark was a Clemson guy, played football at Clemson. So they had strong ties to Clemson through that family. I don't think David Tepper, to my knowledge, has any connections with Clemson.
Trust me, I'm not trying to give David Tepper credit for anything. I was just trying to find an explanation or a reason for that. But the way Tepper has treated our state, I couldn't care any less anymore if they come down here or not. So it is nice, though, for Clemson. I think that's a really cool thing for them to be able to host Fan Fest. But you wonder how many of the Panthers fans in Charlotte in particular are really excited about that.
Yeah, or how many from that part of South Carolina actually turned out, especially with the iffy weather. Over at USC today, we had Shane Beamer for a half hour. We had the entire offensive coaching staff for a half hour, had the entire defensive coaching staff. Oh, let me back that up. We had the entire coaching staff for a half hour. They weren't split up. They had the offense and the defense together, but they were there for a half hour. And then you had offensive players for a half hour and defensive players for a half hour. So you had plenty to choose from as a reporter walking around there today. So I talked to several of the coaches and several of the players, and we'll play those interviews as we move along. One thing that one little note that was very interesting to me from talking to Robbie Ashford, who's a very impressive individual to talk to. You can tell his maturity. He definitely believes in himself, and he's definitely not coming to South Carolina to be the backup quarterback. I mean, he's coming to compete. He might not win the job, but in his mind, he's going out there tomorrow to begin a competition or to continue a competition with Lenora Sellers, and the best man will win the job. One thing he told me, I asked him a question about his throwing and how that's been a knock against him. And he said when he was at Auburn, and I guess he was talking about last season, he would take 4 shots per game in his shoulder so that he could play. He had a bad shoulder. He says, I've never said this publicly. I've never told anybody. He said, but I was taking 4 shots per game.
That's crazy.
And that's why his throwing, what he's saying was he was playing with a damaged shoulder is what he said. So he's basically said, come watch me throw now. He said they would not have brought him to South Carolina if he couldn't throw. So he knows the knock on him has been his passing game. Now, I haven't watched him closely. I didn't watch him closely when he was at Auburn, so I don't know everything. I do know he's a terrific athlete, but he wants to be known as a quarterback, not only who can run, but who can throw the football. So interesting stuff from him. And then,
did you say he had 4 shots a game?
That's what he said.
During a season. Wow.
No, he said 4
That's
shots.
Amazing.
I mean, I've got it recorded.
Right.
You'll hear the interview, when we get to it. Yeah, he said 4 shots a game. So anyway, thought that was kind of interesting. And then
That's a dedicated young man to his craft.
yeah,
To
but
put his
what an
body
athlete!
through
You
all
know,
of that.
he originally signed with Oregon, played baseball out there, so he's good enough to play. And Oregon baseball, of course, is top notch. So he's good enough to play at a high level baseball. But football is what he wants to do. Football's his thing. He comes from Hoover, Alabama, played at Hoover High. So he comes from a football hotbed for sure. And, you know, he's going to compete. Now, I talked to Lenore Sellers as well. And, of course, he's looking forward to the start of practice, and he knows what the situation is, and he knows that he's being looked at as the guy right now. But he also knows that you got the transfer, and you got Dante Reno, and you've got Davis Bevel, you got Ashford. So he knows that there's competition in that quarterback room. So he's got to play well. He's got to play at a high level. And, you know, his thing is protect the football, make proper decisions on when to throw versus when to run, because he knows he can do both, and just move the offense and put him in the end zone. So we'll hear from those folks as we move along. We'll hear from Beamer tonight. And one note from Beamer was he did confirm something that Gamecock Central had reported a week ago, and he confirmed that junior college defensive lineman Jerome Simmons is not going to be with the team this season. His hope is, and expectation is, he'll be with the team in 2025. Otherwise, since last Thursday, I specifically asked him, because, you know, we usually meet when we meet with him, it's usually the next day that we find out somebody's not with the team anymore. And I said, since last Thursday, have there been any other changes on the roster? And he goes, no, we haven't brought anybody in. And he said, unless somebody left since my meeting with them 15 minutes ago, everybody is still on the roster that was there last week. So
I'll say he left a little wiggle room in there, though.
15
just
minutes.
A touch.
I think we'd have noticed if somebody was
I would
getting
think so.
in their Camaro and driving away.
Storming out of the operations facility. By the way, two other notes from Dabo today, and then we can move on. We'll hear more from him later. But Dabo mentioned that former linebacker Ben Boulware is going to be an unpaid intern coach. He actually said he was fired up, and Boulware, of course, fired up about it. And Dabo made the comment to him, said, I told him he was a crappy fan. He's going to be a much better coach. And then he also said, with regards to Barrett Carter and also Wade Woodaz, he does not anticipate anybody contending with them for their starting spots at linebacker. He said those are dudes, is what he called them. They're ready. So he does not anticipate any changes. Even if the freshmen play extremely well, he doesn't believe they'll be able to compete with those two.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either. I think those guys are
I would agree.
Solid locks. Okay, our phone number, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you right here on Sports Talk. We'll get to your phone calls in just a moment. The ACC, of course, yesterday released their preseason poll from the voting of the media at the ACC kickoff in Charlotte last week, and today they released the preseason All-ACC team. You have one Clemson player on the first team offense, or the only team offense. You only had one team, and it is Blake Miller at offensive tackle. And so on the defensive side for the Tigers, you have Barrett Carter, as Chris just mentioned, on the first team defense, or the team defense, linebacker. And also from the Tigers, R.J. Mickens at safety. So three Clemson players, Barrett Carter and R.J. Mickens on defense. And on offense, you have the one offensive tackle, Blake Miller. The preseason player of the year is Cam Ward from Miami. He received 71 of 171 votes. Omarion Hampton of North Carolina, running back, received 38 votes. Carter received 15 votes. Those are your top three. So the interesting thing to me, when you look at this from a Clemson standpoint, is not a single skill position player for Clemson on the offensive side, which is pretty much unheard of for a team that prides itself on quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. Kind of tells you where things have gone as far as those particular areas, at least in the minds of the people voting in this poll.
Jaden Ott must have had an outstanding season last year at Cal with regards to all-purpose yards. He's the all-purpose player and also one of the first-team running backs to slide in there above Phil Maffa, who I believe is going to have an outstanding season. And all we've heard about Antonio Williams and some of the other guys, I guess the voters inside the ACC boundaries looking at Clemson is wait and see. Now, with Miami getting, I think, 5 members to the preseason all-ACC teams, I'm not surprised they ended up being picked. Well, I am a little bit surprised, rather, that your poll had them second, but the poll we saw yesterday had them third.
Yeah.
If they feel that highly about their team and evidently not as highly about Clemson, I don't understand why Miami didn't end up at least at second, if not challenging Florida State for first in the preseason poll.
Maybe they're holding coaching against them.
Possibly.
Maybe they're deducting points based on because, look, they've had their gaffes with coaching decisions there last couple of years. So I'm just saying, thinking out loud, maybe not. But I think the fact that Cam Ward was voted the player of the year tells you what people think about him as a quarterback and the immediate impact that will have on Miami and also on the ACC. That's why I voted them as highly as I did when I sent my poll in. You mentioned Jaden Ott. Jaden Ott is closing in on becoming the all-time leading rusher at Cal.
There you go.
And, I mean, he is a terrific player. I did vote, I believe, go back here and check my voting. I believe I voted for Tyler Brown for the all-purpose player for the AP. I'm sorry, for the ACC all preseason team. But obviously didn't get enough votes to outpoll the player from Cal. So, again, doesn't matter. You go out and you prove it on the field in the season, and all this will be forgotten. If Clemson goes out and beats Georgia and comes out of that first part of the season 5-0, you can take this poll and shove it, as the Tigers would say, because it won't mean anything. The bandwidth that sent it out around the world, it won't even be worth that if you get out and take care of your business. Okay, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. Go ahead and jump into some phone calls. We're going to hear from the coaches, Mike Morgan at 7:05. So we got a full show for you tonight on this big Thursday edition of Sports Talk. And well, he said he wasn't calling in tonight, but he's calling in tonight. It's Gamecock Larry here on Sports Talk. Welcome in, Gamecock Larry. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. The reason why I called in, I got to correct Mr. Field. Mr. Field said my birthday was yesterday. My birthday was today. I'm feeling good like an old man should. My doctor came out, spent an hour doing this and doing that. Everybody, but I just want to say I appreciate the calls and the cards and all. But Phil, I'm going to start the trash talking with you and me and the Tigers and the Gamecocks. Okay, first I want to tell you, you said when Clemson beat Georgia, go 5-0. But let me tell you something, Clemson ain't going to beat Georgia. In fact, I'll give you 17 points right now.
Oh, my goodness, 17 points. I'm taking them. Give them to me.
Okay.
I'm taking them.
You call and let me know. You
wait a minute.
Yep, so
you're going to give me Clemson and 17 against Georgia.
Clemson and 17, and I'm going to tell you something else. I will guarantee you, Josh, I don't know whether he's a Clemson or Gamecock, but I guarantee you, Chris, and old Tiger Bryan up there, the Gamecocks will win more games than Clemson will this year. Now, I'm feeling pretty good, but there's one thing the doctor told me, sit back Go ahead and accept it. Don't worry about nothing. Good Lord, take care of everything. Let your people, let us do what we can for you, and you just take it easy. I said, yes, ma'am, that's what I'm going to do.
That's good
And
advice.
I want to again, I love all y'all. And oh yeah, Phil, if you see Pat, tell Pat to drop by Saturday. I'd like to see Mr. Pat. I ain't seen him. Well, I ain't never seen him, but seems like I've known you all my life.
But now let me make sure we get this right. So today, even though we did happy birthday and all that last night, because I think you told us it was last night. But anyway, today is your official birthday, correct?
Today is my official birthday.
All right. Well, let's do it again, just because yesterday was just sort of a trial run to see if we could pull it off. So let's try it again. Here we go. On a 3 and a 2 and a 1. To you.
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday.
Gamecock Larry.
Shane Beamer says happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. All right. There you go. Now it's official. The big 9-0.
Okay, let me listen to the radio a little. My radio don't. I can't get no signal where they got me in my house. I can't get no signal. I want to listen to Tiger Bryan call in. I want to see what he got to say.
All right, we'll see if Tiger Bryan calls in. We'll see if he calls in. He gets a little busy this time of day, you know. We'll see if he calls in.
Okay, I enjoy it. I love you all, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. Let everybody hear it. Go Tigers.
What?
17. Give you 17. Tigers. Oh, yeah. Wildcat Willie dropped by this morning to burn me some oxygen. Boy, I tell you what, they just take, Wildcat Willie, they just take good care of the old man.
That's good.
And all I can do is sit here and just take it easy.
Fresh oxygen is good. Fresh oxygen is good, especially if it's mixed the right way.
Okay, just while you take it easy. Nothing I can do.
There you go.
Everything's gonna be all right. Love all y'all.
Thank you, Larry. Chill out.
Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
Happy birthday for a third time this week. I think we've done it 3 times.
Yeah, it's his birthday today. We've gotten it out of the way. And if you can find, I'm not a gambling man, but if you can find Vegas and Georgia's 17.5, please let me know, because I'll put everything I own on Clemson to cover that.
Yeah, 17 points. That'd be a nice cushion to play with, you know?
I think so, too.
Yeah. All right, hit the break. We'll continue with phone calls. Coach is coming up. Mike Morgan, too. Be back in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's the forecast. You know it's hot when the low temp this evening is still 77 degrees. Tomorrow, more heat, 98 to high with mostly cloudy skies, the low sunshine, and a feels like temp hitting 112. For the weekend, rain chances stronger on Saturday, 60% to go with a high of 92, while on Sunday, a blend of sunshine and clouds, 40% chance of showers, a high of 94. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey Columbia, did you know there's a beautiful sporting clays course, rifle range, and 200-person event center just 30 minutes from downtown? The Palmetto State Armory Outdoor Range in Swansea, South Carolina has everything you need to prepare for this upcoming hunting season, from sighting in your rifle to knocking off the rust on your shotgun. Are you looking for somewhere to host an event or fundraiser? We have everything you need to make your outing one they won't forget. Come check us out at 1201 Redmond Mill Road in Swansea, South Carolina. Find us at facebook.com/PSA Outdoor. That's facebook.com/PSA Outdoor.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting the United States and Russia have made their biggest prisoner swap in post-Soviet history. Moscow on Thursday released U.S. journalist Evan Gershkovich and Michigan corporate security executive Paul Whelan, along with dissidents including Vladimir Kara-Murza, in a multinational deal officials say has set 24 people free. A wildfire on the edge of Metro Denver has crept within a quarter mile of evacuated homes. Planes and helicopters were dropping water on the fire west of Littleton on Thursday afternoon. More firefighters arrived. Officials say they're hopeful to save nearly 600 threatened residents. Sweltering temperatures sidelined some firefighters with heat exhaustion. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 494 points. This is SRN News.
I sure like to brag about good local businesses. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is a great local biz. Josh and his team stress customer service as their top priority. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning came out to my house. I had a toilet that wasn't working right, a garbage disposal that died. They came out right on time, told me everything they were going to do, and explained the price of each repair before even bringing in the tools. I knew exactly what I was getting and exactly what it would cost. Their prices are fair. Their team is professional. Plus, they did a great job fixing what needed fixing in my home. I am very careful about making any recommendations, and I'm thrilled and confident to suggest you call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning for any plumbing needs. If it's a repair or to replace something, if it's that tankless water heater that you've always wanted to give you that endless hot water and save you some money. They unclog drain and sewer lines and so much more. Online, you'll find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com or just give Josh and those great folks a phone call, 799-2222. That's 799-2222, and tell them you heard about them from here at The Point.
Breathe fresh life into your home with Lake Murray Soft Wash. Our team specializes in power washing, soft washing, and restoration. From roof cleaning to wood and concrete washdowns, we've got you covered. For top affordable services that you can trust, call now 528-1996 or log on to LakeMurraySoftWash.com to make an appointment. We're not just professionals, we're your neighbors. Whether residential or commercial, Lake Murray Soft Wash sets the standard in cleaning. Embrace the sparkling difference today.
As we celebrate 10 fantastic years at Sweet Comfort Services, we're cooling you off with unbeatable deals on all SEER 2 and high-efficiency AC equipment. Hey, Point family, mention this ad and get a thorough spring maintenance check from our expert non-commissioned techs for just $95 for your first system and a chill $45 each additional system. Look us up at sweethvac.com or call us at 331-8143. Celebrating a decade of keeping you cool and comfy. That's the Sweet Promise.
Excuse me, can I interest you in an easy way to reduce your energy usage and save money at home?
Yeah.
Did you know Dominion Energy has an online store?
No. Where is this online store?
Online at EnergyWiseShop.com.
What's in it for me?
Huge discounts off Energy Star certified smart thermostats, advanced power strips.
Any hidden fees?
No. And you get free shipping with qualified orders.
I see EnergyWiseShop.com in my future. Thanks for the tip.
Certain restrictions apply.
Hun, did you see the power bill? I feel like we're trying to cool the outside with these old original windows from the house.
Yeah, they are old. They let the cool air out and the hot air in. Plus, they're really ugly. I think it's time we finally get those new windows.
I think we need to call Redbird Windows and Doors.
Oh yeah, think of the Mill house up the street.
I got their card when I was talking to the Millers. Here it is, Redbird Windows and Doors, 727-0561. Oh, and let's look at their website too, redbirdwindows.com.
Give me that number again, please.
727-0561.
You know, this could be appropriate for all football coaches. Why build me up, Buttercup, just to let me down? Huh?
I like it.
I think that applies to every coach talking to his fans. Why do you call your coach Buttercup? Why do you build me up, Buttercup, just to let me down?
There's not one fan base going into this week thinking we're going to lose the opener.
Somebody is.
Yep.
Gators.
50% of the teams will lose the opener, right? I mean, math tells us.
You think the Gators are going to lose to Miami? And Josh happens to be a Gator fan. I don't know why he's a Gator. Well, he's born in that.
I hope we don't, but I think we will.
Yeah, I think you will too.
Yeah, Miami's
a critically important game for Florida.
Yeah,
they've got to win that game.
End is approaching for the Napier era at Florida.
Because you look at the back half of their schedule, they may not win their last last 5 or 6 games.
Or the first
their
5.
schedule's insane.
All right, 888-898-2525. Coach is coming up. We can squeeze in a couple of more phone calls if you want to join us. By the way, over by Williams-Brice today, of course, they're preparing for the big soccer friendly between my team, Man U. I'm sorry, Manchester United. I'm trying to be hip and soccer-like.
Josh, you need to go to a sporting goods store in Columbia tomorrow and get Phil a Manchester United jersey and let him wear it tomorrow night on the show.
It's a good idea.
I like that idea.
Would you wear it?
Yeah, if somebody gives it to me. I ain't buying it.
Or get him a hat. He's a big hat person.
Do
so
soccer
see if you
people
can find
wear
a Man U
hats?
hat.
Do people that
That's a good question.
There's a lot of football
That is a good
fans wear hats, but I've never seen an English person or somebody,
Well, I heard Scott Powers from Experience Columbia Sports. He was on television last night, one of the channels. He said, "Man," he goes, "like every hotel room in Columbia is sold out." I mean,
Really?
People, oh yeah, people are coming from all over. Of course, the game is a sellout, 80,000 plus. Now they do have a few tickets. I'm looking here. There's some upper deck tickets available still. A few in the end zone. Some in one corner. There's some 50-yard line tickets available. I'm looking at the prices on Ticketmaster. They're ranging from $140, Section 307, which I think is upstairs. Yeah. $140 to $221 on the 50-yard line downstairs. Section 5, row 52. You can get a ticket for $221.
Is this the first non-Gamecock football game, or event rather, taking place at Williams-Brice Stadium since U2 performed there back in the early 90s?
Well, if you're not counting they've had more concerts than that.
Not high school, yeah, okay,
and
not
school
the high school state
championships,
right?
Have
they had more concerts there?
Didn't the Rolling Stones play there one time? I think I know you mentioned U2 played there.
Yeah, actually, I was at that concert. It was a really good show.
Yeah, I was going to give you a little soccer play-by-play.
Oh, excellent! And by the way, I found you a jersey on Fanatics for $100.
Oh, good. Well, go ahead, send it to me. You pay for it. I'll be happy to take it. No, soccer play-by-play is he kicks it over here, and he kicks it over there, kicks it over here. It goes into the corner. It's a corner throw. They throw it in front of the goal. Kicks it, misses the goal. Throws it inbounds. There's a foul. Guys line up, protect their important parts.
Oh, and by the way, Chris, there's been 9 concerts since U2 played at
very cool.
Yeah, Paul McCartney, the Rolling Stones.
No. Paul McCartney he was at Carolina Coliseum. He was at the CLA.
It says Williams-Brice Stadium, 1992 and 1993.
Oh, okay, that's a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, anyway,
so this
tickets
is not unusual.
Tickets are still available. If you want to buy them for that event, look out for I want to see how many hooligans come into Columbia. Of course, again, I shouldn't make fun of them. They're no different than the tailgating crowd at any college football game, right?
Exactly.
When they get out of hand. All right, phone number 888-898-2525. Let's go ahead and jump to the coaches. It is a Talking Thursday. It's a big Thursday. We heard from Dabo Sweeney and from Shane Beamer this afternoon as they are preparing to start camp. Clemson is actually underway with their camp. USC begins in the morning. To be fair and down the middle, as we always are on Sports Talk, trying to decide who goes first. Since both press conferences were about the same time. Now, Beamer started about 3. I think Sweeney started around 3:30. So we're going to flip a coin. Yep. And we're handling the honors for that will be Mr. Bergen at the Berge Palace in Sardis.
And American Quarter. So, Phil, you just have to decide who is who. Whose heads, whose tails.
Josh, whose heads, whose tails?
Gamecocks are going to be tails.
That's right, because they have the feathers.
Yeah.
They have the feathers. Of course, the Tigers have a tail.
Have tails.
Yeah.
So the Tigers are heads.
Tigers are heads.
Gamecocks
Gamecocks are. What you got?
And it is a head.
So Tigers going first. All right, Dabo Sweeney, I'll let you lead into it.
Dabo Swinney met with the media after running 4 miles at lunchtime in the 90-plus degree heat up in Clemson. He was awfully proud of himself about that. Talked about a wide array of topics before his team was scheduled to go out on the practice field and had to wait a little bit out of a thunderstorm, but eventually the Tigers are out there opening up preseason camp today. And here's a little bit about what Dabo had to say about the start of the 2024 season.
All right, short and sweet. We're ready to roll. Excited to get back on the grass, man. This is never gets old. This is, like I said a week or so ago, everything builds to this, and this is what we love to do. To be able to get back into the meetings, get back onto the field, and just start putting it together and getting ready to go compete against some other people. So it's a lot of fun. We've had a good couple of weeks as far as staff-wise getting ready with our meetings and prep, and then last couple of days with the players, trying to get them, acclimated from a program standpoint as well. And now we can get out there and get on with it, and get to work on the football side of it. So ready to roll.
Talking about the heat, I can't remember a start fall camp this hot in a long time. So as a coach, you like that, right? You love to get these guys out there and sweat them up.
As I tell you all the time, mo hotter, mo better. I love it. Ran about 4 miles today at lunch. I love the heat. They practice in it, they train in it all summer long, so it's nothing new to those guys. I mean, this is what they do. So got a good plan as far as our acclimatization and how we ramp up in practice, and it's a little different this year because you got to prepare for a longer season. You could play as much as 17 games. You could play all the way to late January. Tweaked a couple things as far as how we go about our camp and our plan as far as making sure we got our rest days built in and recovery opportunity and all that type of stuff. But they've been training in the heat all summer, and so just be another day for them.
Brian Wesco, weighing at 182 yesterday. I mean, do you feel pretty good about him physically where he is going into the season to be able to contribute and play regularly?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I felt good about him in the spring at whatever, 170. He showed up and really caught on quickly and really competed all spring. And he demonstrated that he could mentally, do what he needed to do and physically do what he needed to do this spring. But it's about just becoming the best version of himself since he's been here. So him getting stronger, bigger, will help him just compete better and help him. It'll accentuate, what he already does well. It'll accentuate those things. So, proud of him and all the guys and how they, how they've worked hard. The team's done a great job. We're big, we're strong, and we've got a lot of guys that really bought into what they needed to do from a nutrition standpoint and a strength conditioning standpoint. So good summer from that aspect. Now we got to get to work on the field.
I think Peter Woods told us during the spring he was shooting for 295. What is 319? Can you give us your assessment of that?
Yeah, as I said, it's about the composition. He's really lean. He's a freaky dude. He's a very lean guy. He's leaner than guys that weigh 280 in some cases. Just a unique human being. That's the best way I can describe it. He can run for days. He's in great shape. He's going to play a lot of snaps. And he's going to play multiple positions. He's going to play probably every position across the front, but obviously when you're playing out and in, there's a little bit more space involved and things like that. But I mean, he crushed every number. I mean, he's just a big, strong kid. He looks at a weight and he gets strong. I mean, so he's in a good place with his body composition.
You mentioned 2 weeks ago about injuries. You guys are entering the preseason kind of more healthy compared to last season. Is that still the same entering today?
Yeah, y'all will see that. This is probably, the best we've been in a long time going out to day one. we're ready to roll. I think just Miles Oliver, who's been out. He tore his ACL last year. He's at one, but I think we got maybe 2 guys in green, maybe, that are just kind of little ticky-tack things that they're kind of pushing through from coming out of training. But we're in a good spot right now.
Yeah, but with being able to have so many different additional coaches on the field, with special teams, does that change anything procedurally when you've got like a Ryan Allen who can kind of come in, work with the punters? Just didn't know if you divide things up differently or if it means anything different for the kickers who normally don't have dedicated coaches to them.
Yeah, it changes everything. We got a 1-to-1 ratio. There's going to be a lot of scrutiny. There's going to be, we haven't added staff. We had the same amount of staff that we've always had, but they just have never been able to coach on the field, within the rules. And so they haven't been able to do that. Haven't been able to run meetings, that type of stuff. So been able to do everything else. They can recruit. They obviously help support the coaches and game plan and all that stuff, but they were limited as far as practice. So what it'll do is and again, it will make you more efficient, and it'll create hopefully a lot of scrutiny and just a little more attention to details across the board, because everybody can coach, everybody's got a voice, and that's why I hired Ryan. And because now, I can have a true specialist coach that can coach on the field and kind of manage that group from a specialist, and then Will Gilchrist will be our director of special teams, and he'll orchestrate everything. So it's really, really good. I'm excited. And then all the coaches, they're all involved. Everybody, we got all these support guys that have been chomping at the bit to get out on the field, and now they get the opportunity to do it. So, in the past, you had just your 10 coaches, myself, and the 4 GAs. And you had to have GAs because they could only coach if they were a GA. So we don't even need we converted all the GAs. We don't need a GA. All of our GAs already got master's degrees. We need them coaching. We need them. You had to do that in the past, but now that everybody can, we just converted all those, and everybody's on the field and everybody's doing what they need to do. So I'm excited about just the amount of, like I said, attention that we'll be able to put on every single player. Should be a lot of fun.
Dabo, obviously fall camp is full of competition and position battles, but how do you build continuity when you have those position battles happening?
That's just that doesn't start now. That continuity and chemistry and your leadership and your team development and all that stuff, that's been going since January. We've started that in January. So if you're trying to get that now on first day of practice, you're behind the 8 ball. We've got a close team, and this team is, literally, truly, they're very close. I think they really love each other. That's been very apparent to me. I've had a lot of fun in the meetings with them the last couple of days, and just, their energy, their vibe, their things they've articulated, and just, you can tell that there's very good leadership, but they're close, and that's important. So again, you don't do that on August 1st. You're way behind it. You just continue that journey. And so they all know each other well. They all know the depth chart, where we are right now. They all are going to get a chance to compete. But that's also a big part of, as you go through camp, because we've got about, the next, 20 days of just football, no school, just football, all camp. So kind of solidifying that team component, that togetherness, the chemistry, that's, I think, already in a really good spot. That's just a part that's woven into what we do. It's our meetings, it's our speakers, it's our things that we do internally, to make sure everybody really appreciates each other, knows each other, and so forth.
All right, some comments from Dabo Sweeney. And there's more up on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. And we'll be covering the Tigers throughout camp, hearing from Sweeney, occasionally from the coordinators, and from players as they make them available. Same thing with South Carolina. And, of course, plan to hit the road next week to begin our Palmetto Pigskin Tour. Chris, for everybody else.
There we go. That's the beauty of sports talk. So 50 coaches, will we get to hear from all of them by the end of the season? You know how ridiculous the field is going to look with all these coaches down on the field now?
Oh, my gosh.
We need to have about 15, 20 coaches for basketball, too. That'd be great on the bench, wouldn't it?
I'm telling you. Be back in a moment.
Oh, appliances, we can't live without them, and eventually we have to replace them, but we don't have to pay more for the new ones. Not with Carolina Discount Appliances. Do you want to go and shop at retail and determine which one has the lowest overpriced item? Me neither. That's why my first call is always Carolina Discount Appliances. The philosophy is simple. No retail prices. None. It might have a scratch or a ding, but overall it's new and will cost you much less than what you're going to pay anywhere else. So if you need a refrigerator, washer, dryer, stove, range, or microwave, they've got you covered. But for less money. Same brands, same appliances, less money. And Carolina Discount Appliances is the home of the $40 down. Take it home today. No credit needed payment options. Regardless, Sherry has you covered. Call today, 803-770-3008. That's 770-3008. No matter where you're located, same number, same person, Sherry at Carolina Discount Appliances. 803-770-3008. It saved me money. It'll do the same for you.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has a new rolling jackpot, and trust me, our state had anything this big before.
How big? Harbortown Lighthouse big?
Bigger.
Bigger than the Ravenel Bridge?
Even bigger.
Not bigger than Table Rock.
With this new rolling jackpot, Palmetto Cash 5 is officially too big to ignore. Palmetto Cash 5 draws nightly, so play today. Check if your numbers are winners in the Players Club app or at sceducationlottery.com. Overall odds are 1 in 10. Top prize odds are 1 in 850,668.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5-9 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Deep in the heart of racing country lies a track too tough to tame. The perfect setting for the late season drama of the Southern 500.
Outside lane gets the launch.
One last chance to make a playoff push. One last chance to catch regular season racing. One last chance to plan a Labor Day weekend worth bragging about. NASCAR weekend at Darlington Raceway, August 31st and September 1st. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk Media Network coming up on the hour. Phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Going to hear from Shane Beamer after the top of the hour. Let's update a couple of other things that are going on that are important today. We have the first round of the South Carolina State Amateur Championship at the Country Club of Charleston. And for the 60th consecutive year, I was not invited to play. So Zach Adams, 7 under, 64, he leads. Chase Klein, 5 under, 66 is 2 back. By the way, Zach's from Charleston. Chase is from Chapin. Matthew Doyle of Somerville is 4 under, 67. Good scores. Rowan Sullivan of Charleston, 68. Jed Dirksen of Greenville, 68. Adam Hart of Columbia, 68. Bronson Myers from Columbia, 68. So they're all tied at 68. So they would be tied for 4th. And then a bunch are in at 69. Chandler Mulkey of James Island, Matthew Baxley of Beach Island, where there is no beach and there is no island. Did you know that, Chris?
Beach Island?
Beach Island does not have a beach nor an island.
No, okay.
I know somebody from there.
That.
I know somebody who actually grew up in Beach Island.
I have to plead ignorance. I'm not sure exactly where Beach Island is.
It is down near Augusta, Johnston, Petticoat Junction, Silver Bluff, all those little areas.
Just right adjacent to the Atlantic coast.
Yeah. Zachary Harold of Lexington, another one at 69. Jake Wichter of Bluffton. Levi Joyner of Prosperity. Oliver Rotterman from Daniel Island. These are all 69s. Brad Thorne from Spartanburg. Sam Jackson from West Columbia. J.T. Herman from Hilton Head. And Birch Harrison from Columbia. All at 69. So you've got 17 golfers at 69 or better. That's some good playing.
That's why we weren't invited, Phil.
Yeah. Some good playing at the Country Club of Charleston. And then you've got the Olympic golf competition taking place. And you've got Hideki Matsuyama, 63. He's 8 under par. He's got the lead after the first round. Xander Schauffele, just red hot, 6 under, 65. Joaquin Neiman, 5 under, 66. Emiliano Grillo, 5 under, 66. Tom Kim, 5 under, 66. That's the top of the leaderboard. Scotty Scheffler, 4 under, 67. Roy McIlroy, 3 under, 68. Okay, top of the hour. Shane Beamer coming up. Don't go away.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. President Biden is celebrating a prisoner swap that has freed 4 American hostages. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Joined by relatives of the freed Americans in the White House State Dining Room, the president announced Russia's release of Americans Paul Whelan, Evan Gershkovich, Alsu Kermasheva, and Vladimir Kara-Murza.
Their brutal meal is over, and they're free.
Mr. Biden called the release an incredible relief for the families and a feat of diplomacy. He praised the cooperation of several countries, emphasizing the key role played by Germany. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Republican Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance visited the U.S.-Mexico border Thursday and reminded listeners that during the Biden administration, Vice President Kamala Harris was appointed border czar to deal with illegal immigration.
The human toll of this is the thing that we cannot forget. We have got kids who can't learn in schools because their kids have been overwhelmed with migrant children who shouldn't be there. We've got hospitals where the wait times have exploded because illegal aliens are standing in front of the line of Americans.
In the wake of violent protests in England over the stabbings of 3 little girls at a dance class by a 17-year-old, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said there is now a policing plan to stop what he calls the thugs.
It's not protest. It's not legitimate. It's crime. Violent disorder.
The suspect charged with murder and attempted murder was named Thursday as Axel Ruda Kubana, born in the UK to Rwandan parents. Rough day on Wall Street as the Dow was down by 494 points, the Nasdaq dropping 485 with the S&P 500 lower by 75. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You just grin and bear it or bite the bullet when it comes to everyday pain? Don't. Try Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free. It's developed by doctors. In 3 weeks or less, you'll know whether it works for you like it works for me. Try Relief Factor for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
What does it take for organizations to triumph? It takes trust. But trust is getting harder and harder to gain, which is why over 2,700 organizations display the ECFA seal. The ECFA seal gives your organization the third-party credibility that people are looking for. And in turn, an estimated 14 million givers support ECFA-accredited organizations. Let us help you maintain a trusted reputation as you reach the world for Christ. Visit ecfa.org/triumph to learn more.
Former presidents from opposite sides of the aisle are joining a commission planning America's 250th birthday party. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
George W. Bush and Barack Obama will join America 250, an organization created by Congress to oversee upcoming commemorations in 2026 of the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The former presidents, along with First Ladies Laura Bush and Michelle Obama, will serve as honorary national co-chairs. Former U.S. Treasurer Rosie Rios says the 250th a celebration of democracy is a grassroots effort that all Americans can be a part of. The commission's leaders hope that bringing together the two recent Democratic and Republican presidents will serve as an example of bipartisan cooperation in an era of polarization. I'm Jennifer King.
Former President Jimmy Carter will be honored next month ahead of his 100th birthday with a musical gala at Atlanta's Fox Theater. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. You know it's hot when the low temp this evening is still 77 degrees. Tomorrow, more heat, 98 the high with mostly cloudy skies, a little sunshine, and a feels like temp hitting 112. For the weekend, rain chance stronger on Saturday, 60% to go with a high of 92, while on Sunday, a blend of sunshine and clouds, 40% chance of showers, a high of 94. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Please press button now. I said to, genius.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network on this big Thursday night. In just a couple of moments, we'll hear from USC football coach Shane Beamer as he addressed the media today on the eve of practice number 1. They'll begin at 9:23 in the morning. Now, Chris asked me why the odd start numbers for the Gamecocks for these practices.
9:23 in the morning. First off, I'm surprised they're not going earlier, but I have no idea why you would not go at 9 o'clock or 9:30.
Well, because...
So why?
Yeah. That's all you had to do was ask me. I wasn't asking you for an explanation or a commentary about it. I was asking you to ask me so I would give you the answer. So I'm going to give you the answer. The answer is, for example, they're starting their practices at times like 9:23 tomorrow morning, 9:23 on Saturday and Sunday, 9:18 on Tuesday, same, 11:34 on Saturday. The reason they have these odd numbers, as he explained, they're tweaking things in an effort to further prevent injury. His belief was, after going back and examining things last year, that they would go out to practice and they would not properly warm up before going into the warm-up. They would go directly from team meetings and go out and start stretching and running and would not properly warm up before that. So now they'll come out of their meetings and start practice like at 9:15, let's say, but they'll have like 8 minutes of the stretching period and pre-warm-up period where they loosen up before they go into their warm-ups, which will start at exactly 9:23. That make sense?
The explanation makes sense. The question I have is, he's going into his 4th year at Carolina. It's taken him this long to figure that out?
Well, I mean, I guess you live and you learn, and you go back and you examine why you had, so many injuries, soft tissue injuries, as they call them now, why you had so many of those last season that you were dealing with. And I think they concluded that maybe their guys weren't stretched out enough, weren't loosened up enough before they got into doing some of these light drills, like running little, I guess you wouldn't call them gassers, but running the lines, things that we get a chance to see in the first few minutes of practice. They want them even more stretched out and loosened up before they get into that. So that's why.
Okay.
Yep. Satisfied?
Makes sense to me.
Okay. A couple of other things before we get to Shane Beamer. Georgia made the announcement today, Kirby Smart made the announcement today that receiver Ray Thomas, or Ra Thomas, whichever way you want to pronounce it, no longer with the team because he's had a couple of offseason issues, very serious issues. He's a transfer from Mississippi State. So he has been dismissed. So Georgia took some action there, Chris.
Look at Kirby finally figuring out something a middle school coach could have figured out 2 weeks ago, that the kid did not belong on the team. But well done, Kirby. You got one.
Spicy.
I've got about another 25 to deal with, but good job on this one.
You're spicy tonight.
Loving it.
You're spicy.
Like you said, fired up. Football season's here.
Let's see. Georgia, they began camp today. And according to AJC, defensive tackle Warren Brinson dealing with an Achilles injury. So that's one thing that they're concerned about. Kirby Smart added that defensive tackle Jordan Hall had surgery after suffering a stress fracture on his tibia, expected to make a full recovery. So sounds like he's out. He was expected to be a key piece on the defensive line this season. Played in 10 games last season, made 10 tackles, so he's out. So Christian Miller, Camden's Xavier McLeod, and Jordan Thomas get more reps on the defensive line. Brinson and Nazir Stackhouse are still expected to start on the line for Georgia. Also, Gaffney's Tyrion Ingram Dawkins working his way back from a foot injury, according to Kirby. He's expected to be Georgia's starting defensive end. Played in 8 games last season, had 8 tackles. And linebacker Smale Munden got a foot injury he's dealing with, missed spring practice, and the Orange Bowl, and he's limited. He also was arrested on charges of racing and reckless driving in July. Some question in this story, there is some question as to whether Georgia will play him in the opener against Clemson. Well, that'd be a bonus for Clemson if he doesn't play. On the offense, running back Branson Robinson, coming back from a torn patella tendon injury, suffered last August. He is cleared to practice without any limitations, according to Smart. And let's see, freshman offensive tackle Marcus Harrison had foot surgery. Wide receiver Cole Spear is dealing with a foot sprain. Defensive back Chris Peel still recovering from labrum surgery at the end of spring. So they got pretty lengthy injury report there at the University of Georgia. But that is not compared to their police blotter list, which is 3 times as long. 3 times
And I
as
think
long.
all of this stuff, Phil, is starting to factor into, I think Clemson's moving the needle here towards a much, much better shot to beat them in the opener than I thought they would have had, a month or two ago.
You know what we're both going to, by the time the game gets here, we're going to pick Clemson.
Probably so.
We're going to talk ourselves. We're going to talk ourselves into it. You just wait and see, because we'll be hearing all this great stuff about Clemson and all this boo-hoo about Georgia. We'll eventually talk our way into picking Clemson before that game rolls around. All right, let's see what else I got for you here. Todd Shaughnessy from the Spartanburg Herald-Journal, and I guess the Greenville paper and the Anderson paper, because it's all one paper across the upstate. Zeke Marshall, who had 9 picks last season at Westside, is leaving, and he has announced, Zeke Marshall he's transferring to Rabun Gap Noguchi School and reclassifying for 2026. So that is that, I guess it's a private school, you would call it, that has an outstanding football team, produces a lot of big-time players. So he is transferring there and reclassifying for 2026. Zeke Marshall leaving Westside. So that is a blow for the Rams. All right, and let's see what else we got here before we hit
football
the break.
Tonight.
We do have NFL tonight, don't we?
Yes, we do. Texans and Bears, and for some reason, Caleb Williams is not going to play tonight for the Bears. The number 1 pick in the draft out of Southern Cal, according to their coaching staff, needs to rest. From what? 3 weeks of training camp? I mean, what kind of rest do you need going into your first preseason game?
I guess you don't want to. I mean, I can't think of anything worse in the world than losing a starter in a preseason game.
I can't disagree with that at all.
Or a key contributor. I mean, as a fan, when I watch the Packers, I hold my breath on every preseason snap. It's one thing to get hurt in a game that matters. I'll be glad. The NFL is going to go to 18 games probably next year.
Right.
Let's just do away with these preseason games, man. Just do away with them. Of course, I know.
You think they could get by? They're not going to get rid of them because the owners still want to make an additional revenue stream.
Yeah.
But don't you think they've cut it back from 4 to 3 now? Don't you think they could get by with 2 and start training camp? I don't know, the second week in August. That's still a month to get ready for the season.
Yeah. I mean, it's they charge regular season prices for those preseason games.
Exactly.
So
and people go because it's the NFL.
But I'm telling you, if I lived in Green Bay, as much as I love the Packers, or if I lived in any NFL town and was a fan of that team, I wouldn't spend a penny on preseason games. I'm sorry. It's a waste of money. First of all, you don't see the frontline players. Most of the players you're watching the first couple of weeks are not going to be around at the end of preseason camp. They're going to be cut. There'll be some rookies that'll make it. I'm not saying all of them will be cut, but some will. I mean, they're just practice fodder out there for a couple of games. You see the only game to go to, of course, they've cut them down to 3 preseason games, right?
Right.
So it used to be the third game was the preseason game to go to because that was the one
exactly.
where most of your starters played a quarter, maybe a half, and then you sat them down. I'm not even sure they play. I guess they play them in that third game a little bit, and then sit them down. But gosh, losing a player in the preseason, that's just awful. A couple of other notes. Chapel Fowler from the State with a little story on Clemson. Clemson Athletics is changing their official TV partner ahead of the upcoming athletic year. The coaches' shows and more will now be produced through the regional Fox station, Fox Carolina. They had previously partnered with the CBS affiliate, WSPA. So they're moving from that, WSPA, over to the Fox station there in the upstate. So watch for that, Tiger fans, up that way. The NCAA has launched its NIL Assist database. It will include aggregate data on NIL deals, NIL education tools, and a service provider registry. Regarding the NIL deal data, athletes are not currently required by NCAA rules to disclose deals, so the data won't be complete.
I saw something on there that would also show publicly available NIL deals to athletes.
Yeah.
So it'd tell you, like, if you were an athlete, you would be able to see the deals that are available to you.
And the public can see those too.
Yeah.
That's on their dashboard of their database. Yeah. We've got the South Carolina American Legion Baseball Championship Tournament going on in Florence at Sparrow Stadium. And we've got Florence post number 1 defeating Fort Mill post number 43, 3-2. And so Florence post 1 will play Camden, and that will be, I guess that's a championship. This is the championship day, so I guess they play Camden 7:15 tonight in a championship game.
Correct. To go to the regionals, I believe, is the case. The way the American Legion is set up, and
Is this
Florence has hit.
Is this a winner-take-all game between these two? Do you know?
That I'm not positive. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. But Florence has had Derek Urquhart, former Gamecock, has done just an amazing job with that team. I mean, they've been to the World Series a couple of times. They've won the state championship multiple times. They've gone to the regionals. I mean, this is a really, really good Legion team, as is the one in Camden, the one in Newberry. I mean, we've got really good American Legion baseball across the state of South Carolina that most folks don't see because they play during the summertime, and certainly their season starts to wind down when football season cranks up. So got to get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, before the break, let's go to Andy in Columbia. Take another quick phone call here on Sports Talk on this big Thursday night. Shane Beamer coming up. Andy, welcome in. How are you tonight?
Well, I'm alive. I hope y'all are doing well.
Well, that's a promising note.
Happy birthday to Gamecock Larry there. Hopefully I won't have to be worrying about 90. I don't think I'd.
You'll make it.
I hope not. It just seems like too long to go.
Wait a minute. What if your Gamecocks win 10 games this year? Don't you want to be around to see that continue?
I'm not even going to be 60. I'll be 65 in February. I have plenty of time to watch my Gamecocks win 10, 12, 13, 14 games before I have to worry about 90 years old. If they haven't won it by that time, that I'm getting close to 90, you might as well put me in the grave. So,
and he's just going to give up. Don't give up on life, Andy.
When you're talking about preseason football, when you're a season ticket holder, you don't have a choice. You get those crappy tickets in your plan.
Yep.
Okay? So don't sit here and tell us, Corn, you wouldn't spend a penny on them, because if you lived in Green Bay,
that's true.
You would be a season ticket holder and you'd be paying for those things.
That's a good point.
And number two,
I wouldn't like it though. I wouldn't like it.
You know why he's so tired? He's tired of counting those big piles of money he just hauled in. That would tire you out.
Who's that?
Williams. That's why he's not playing tonight.
Oh yeah. Hauling around those wheelbarrows full of money will tire out anybody. That's a good way to get yourself in shape. Pushing wheelbarrows up a hill that's loaded with $5 million in each one of them.
He's just using his counting hand to count the $100 bills that he's got stacked up there, and that's giving him strength in his arm for passing.
That's another thing.
I'll tell you what,
as a fan, I mean, I don't want to see the Packers. See, now the two teams playing tonight, they have to play 4 preseason games. So I don't want to ever see the Packers in the Hall of Fame game. That's an extra opportunity to get somebody hurt in a meaningless preseason game. The most meaningless. The first preseason game, just totally meaningless.
Corn, y'all won't have any Hall of Famers for many years, so they won't be putting y'all in there. That's why these two teams are there, is because of their Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, as soon as your washed-up quarterback retires, he'll be going to the Hall of Fame. So,
yeah, as a Jet.
He ain't going as a Jet. Are you kidding me?
Hey, I don't know if y'all mentioned this, but it was a great trade the Panthers made, for to get this quarterback. You trade DJ Moore, who ends up signing that big old contract with Chicago, great wide receiver. They could have sat in the position, got stout, and really had some type of team. I'll tell you what, this clown that owns this team up in Charlotte, he doesn't know what he's doing as an owner, and he is really knows how to screw over the fan base, and he's really turned South Carolina, really wishing that they would just call themselves the North Carolina Panthers and not the Carolina Panthers. Because I'll tell you what, Henry McMaster's, he made him look like the biggest fool in the world.
They took him to the woodshed, didn't they?
As I call it, the interstate exit to nowhere.
Well, I've actually been on that exit, and it does come to an end. You do have to make a left or a right.
But what's out there, Corn?
Nothing. It is, It's...
Exactly. That's exactly. Maybe Henry's going to build him a house out there or something, so he can have him.
It is a pretty. It's a pretty exit. I mean, it really is. As exits go.
Maybe him and Ralph Norman will each build a house out there, and Ralph's company can build
Listen,
it. It was probably land that Ralph owned.
I get full disclosure here. Not that it matters, but I mean, I thought it was a good idea. I thought it was a good idea, great idea to have the Panthers move their headquarters to South Carolina, training camp there in Rock Hill, everything else that they promised. Who knew he was a liar? Who knew? I can't really blame the governor, and I can't blame everybody else. I mean, who knew he was a liar?
Kevin and I were calling that from the start.
Kevin did. Yes, he did. Did you call that too?
Yes. When we were talking on his show, I was like, this is going to be the biggest disaster that we've ever seen. Plus, you're taking money away from another part of the state, and it's ridiculous. And, he made a fool out of all of us. And, our tax money just went into a big nothing. As usual, just like they found $1.8 billion, they're still arguing about where it came from. Well, our state is so financially smart, it just amazes me. But you gentlemen have a wonderful evening, and I'm glad football practice is starting. And Corn, I'm glad you admitted that your gassers were really just you having gas, because that's what I was thinking. As soon as you said that you were doing gassers, I was hoping no one was riding in the car with you, or they really have to have oxygen masks fall down like they have in the plane.
I was just trying to create the same sensation that the players are going through. That's all I was trying to do.
I'll tell you what, if it's that gassy kind of situation, boy, oh boy, those are hard practices with that gas like that.
I'm telling you.
Okay, fellas, and Corn.
Yes.
You didn't tear the golf course up too bad at Beamer's thing last week, were you? Did you? They didn't have the groundskeepers right behind you cleaning up the divots.
I'll just say I left my mark.
I figured you probably did.
I'll just say that any small animals that needed to be, buried, I left plenty of places for them to be put away, as much as I hate to think of it. Thank you very much. Be back in just a moment.
We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, it's hunting season in South Carolina this fall, and folks need to be prepared from a legal standpoint.
That's right, Phil. Everyone always needs to buy their license. Everyone always worries about losing their license. Well, now that's not a problem anymore, because you can keep your license on your phone. That's right. Go Outdoors SC. It's an app. Look for it on your Apple or Android devices. You can buy your license. You can renew your boat registration, and it's all right there on your phone. Remember, Go Outdoors SC in your app store.
Relax this summer with a promotional rate on select travel purchases with your Founders Federal Credit Union credit card. Now through August 31st, get 6.99% APR for 6 months on qualifying purchases, including airfare, hotels, restaurants, and cruise lines. Don't let interest rates slow you down this summer. Visit foundersfcu.com/travel to learn more. Not a Founders member yet? Has the financial tools you need and the personalized service you deserve. Stop by an office or visit foundersfcu.com to learn more about Founders and see if you qualify for membership. On March 1st, 2025, the promotional APR will revert to the effective APR as previously disclosed. Call 800-845-1644 for details about credit costs and terms. Membership qualification required.
G3 here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and it's time for a fall preview. That's right, 720 Chris Drive, 378 and I-26, Frontage Road, where you can now preview the best technology for golf known to man. It's the Tsunami Bar. It's live weight. It's the only technology out where you get your tempo and flow going before you play. Now, it also serves as a pattern support tool. 720 Chris Drive, Frontage Road, 378 and I-26. You also can visit the Garage Gym Pro Shop. Pick up your tools, take them home, and while you're here, tour the Scramble Course 6-hole pitch and putt right now.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
All right, more on the ongoing battle between Florida State, Clemson, and the ACC. This, I believe, a release from the Attorney General office in Florida. Attorney General Ashley Moody this afternoon obtained secretive media contracts previously withheld from Florida State by the ACC. Documents the center of the fight with the ACC over the school's efforts to determine its rights if it leaves the conference. Through the AG's action, the ACC has handed over 6 redacted media rights contracts and documents. The AG says it's a victory for transparency. The ACC has made documents available that are at the center of the legal fight with the conference. Blah, blah, blah. AG took legal action against the ACC for wrongly withholding public records from review. Now, in response to the action, the ACC has provided the state of Florida with the following documents redacted and produced in accordance with Florida Public Records Act, 2010 ACC Multimedia Agreement, 2012 Amendment and Extension, 2014 Second Amendment to Agreement, 2016 Amended and Restated Agreement, ACC ESPN Network Agreement of 2016, and Letter Amendment to the Amended. We'll be back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's the forecast. You know it's hot when the low temp this evening is still 77 degrees. Tomorrow, more heat, 98 the high with mostly cloudy skies, the low sunshine, and a feels like temp hitting 112. For the weekend, rain chances stronger on Saturday, 60% to go with a high of 92, while on Sunday, a blend of sunshine and clouds, 40% chance of showers, a high of 94. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Ski Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting the United States and Russia have made their biggest prisoner swap in post-Soviet history. Moscow on Thursday released U.S. journalist Evan Gerskovich and Michigan corporate security executive Paul Whelan along with dissidents including Vladimir Kara-Murza, in a multinational deal officials say has set 24 people free. A wildfire on the edge of Metro Denver has crept within a quarter-mile of evacuated homes. Planes and helicopters were dropping water on the fire west of Littleton on Monday afternoon as more firefighters arrived. Officials say they're hopeful to save nearly 600 threatened residences. Sweltering temperatures sidelined some firefighters with heat exhaustion. On Wall Street, the Dow plunged 494 points. This is SRN News.
Every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on The Point, join me, Chad Jordan, and my co-host Larry Jordan for the Palmetto Real Estate Pros. We'll help you out whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just learn all things real estate every Friday right here at 100.7 The Point.
You hear about all these tax credits available for getting solar power for your home or your business, and yeah, they're pretty awesome. But what about your church? Yeah. What about your nonprofit? How can you benefit from tax if you don't pay taxes? Well, now there's a great program in place for nonprofits. Think about that. Your church still has a pretty big power bill, right? What about taking control, saving that church money every single month by using solar power from Broker Solar? Installation rebates, tremendous savings. Bet you've never even thought about it. Maybe it's time to talk about it at your church or your nonprofit. Broker Solar has all the answers. Ken and his team know every program, every opportunity for your home, your business, and yes, your nonprofit. So you can save dollars, get rebates, get government credits. Isn't it worth looking into? Online, it's brokersolar.com, or give Ken a call, 807-7417 at Broker Solar. That's 807-7417, and tell him Kev sent you.
Arthritis is just awful. Bone on bone, constant pain. But there are effective ways to deal with that pain. And I'm not talking about drugs or surgery. Hey, Point family, it's Casey Whitener. Listen, there are exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief. And the place to go? QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back with regenerative, restorative, cellular treatments for your achy joints. This is the future of medicine. Call for a free consultation, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman-Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. He still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat and Place, just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order.
All right, coming up, Shane Beamer in just a moment. Recruiting as well at the Olympics. USA women 87-74 over Belgium. Brianna Stewart had 26 points for the American women, and Asia Wilson had her typical huge game, played 34 minutes, had 23 points, 13 rebounds. Safe to call her the best women's player in the world?
I don't think there's a real argument there.
Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
And we probably need to get a couple of our women's players and also a couple of our men's players to go teach the 3-on-3 teams how to play.
Are they not doing well?
3-on-3 basketball needs to be in the Olympics. I think it's ridiculous. Just 5-on-5 basketball is what we should be worried about. But yeah, I think I saw a stat today. Our two teams combined are 1-6.
Not good.
No, not good at all.
Not good. Not good. Let me see if there's anything else here that really interests me to bring up where the Americans have done well. Of course, gymnastics, Simone Biles won the gold, the women's individual all around, so she's won that. Maybe the greatest of all time, or arguably right up
I would
there.
think that's probably the case. And Suni Lee got the bronze.
I really liked her more when her husband played for the Packers. He was really a good safety. And so I thought they were a cute couple back then, but then he left. He left the Packers as a free agent, and I'm not happy about that.
Sound like Bob Uecker in Major League 2. It's amazing what a change in uniform will do for a guy.
The Americans won the gold in women's team foil. They foiled.
Excellent.
They foiled Italy in women's team foil. Okay, rowing. Americans won the gold in the men's 4. And what else did we do? Not a good sign here. China won the gold in shooting. So I don't particularly not enthralled about that fact. USA took the silver in the women's 4x200 meter freestyle. In the pool, they won the gold in the 200-meter breaststroke. Kate Douglas got that. And took silver in the 200-meter butterfly, Reagan Smith there. Then you had the women's boxing match between the sweet little girl from Italy and this big person from Algeria. And
Good way to phrase it.
First of all, I got to be honest. Can I just say this? Okay, look, I appreciate women's sports. I'm all for it. Do we have to have women's boxing? I mean, who wants to see two women seriously box?
Yeah.
Oh, wrestling? Okay, I can get into wrestling, Jello and all that, but boxing, and we got to draw the line here somewhere. Why do we have to have women boxing? I mean, seriously.
If that's what they want to do, I would not. If I had a daughter, I would not steer her towards boxing nor MMA. Keep in mind, you also have that as well, which is considerably more violent.
Well, we got a problem here because, they think that the person from Algeria might not be qualified to be a woman, totally. And the little girl from Italy took a shot on the nose and said, "I'm done."
Yeah.
She said, "I am done. Let me out of here." So anyway, controversy there. Over to USC football, where, the person from Algeria there could be tied in, I think, on the Gamecock football team. Shane Beamer getting ready for his 4th camp in Columbia. 2 bowl games, first 2 years, missed this past season. So he's burning inside to get the Gamecocks back into the postseason and more with this team. I think they've got a good team. I think they've got good players on this roster. I think they've got some stars who are going to be the best, some of the best in the SEC. So here is some of what Beamer had to say to the media today before the start of practice in the morning.
I've got a lot of work to do, but love this group. There's been a hunger and a desire to get better, a very purposeful group, a very invested group. It's been very evident since January when we came back in the spring semester to get to work. And I can't wait to get out on the field tomorrow. I told them earlier, and it's the truth, I don't think I've ever been more excited about starting practice in a season than I am this one. And it's because of the people that we have on our roster and the type of young men they are, the leadership we have, the hunger they have, how invested they are. So got a lot of work to do, but really excited about the people I get to do it with starting tomorrow morning on the practice field. So with that, any questions?
Shane, is there one position group or position competition that you're looking at more than any other over these next 30 days that says we've got to take care of that above all?
Yeah, great question. Yes and no. I think there's a lot. I'm not trying to dodge the question, but I really do believe there's multiple. We met as a staff this morning, and I talked about all the things that really excite me about this team, which there's a lot, but then all of the things that are, I don't want to say concerns, but are questions that we have to answer, and there's multiple. And who the kicker is going to be. Is something that we have to figure out. What does that? I'm going to go through basically every position, David. I'm sorry, but essentially, okay, if O'Donnell Fortune's coming into the season as one starting corner, what does that opposite corner battle look like? Nick Emanwari and DQ Smith come into the preseason as our 2 starting safeties. What does the depth look like behind those guys? How is this linebacker rotation going to shake out? Because you guys have heard me say it. We basically had a 3-man rotation last year. I feel confident saying that we could have as much as a 7-8-man rotation as far as guys, if they continue to come along, that I feel like can help us win SEC football games. What does that shake out, or how does that shake out? Same thing, we feel good about the D-line group, but what's the rotation there? Obviously, everybody wants to talk about the offensive line and the receiver position. So I would probably say that one to answer your question, just what it looks like. Not that we don't have capable people, because we do, but we've got more depth and athleticism and competition than last year on really every position, but particularly on the offensive line and at the receiver position. And it's the truth that if you ask me today, what will the starting 5 look like on the offensive line game 1, and who are your top 6 receivers game 1, it really truly is still to be determined. So I think a little bit of everything. There's competition. What does Lenoris and Robbie in that situation? How does that continue to come along? Davis Bevel, but probably most pertinent, most important right now would be, they're all important, but the most up in the air probably the receiver rotation and how that shakes out.
You mentioned that the summer was elite this summer. Can you point to 2 or 3 kind of tangible things that took it from really, really, really good to elite?
I think obviously the physical part of it, when you just look at how some of these guys have changed their bodies this summer, whether it be gaining weight, guys that needed to gain weight, whether it be losing weight, guys that needed to lose weight. Coming out of spring practice, John, there's a lot of guys that had some body weight issues, good or whether it be gaining or losing. And as we sit here right now, we've overcome those, and a couple, don't get me wrong, that still need to probably gain a little bit, lose a little bit, but we're in a great position from that standpoint would be one. How we've gotten stronger. If you look at what our guys have, the strength gains that they've made from January to now, but in particular from May when they came back until now, we've gotten stronger. There's no question about it. And then you guys have heard me say it before, and it's the truth. Every coach in America would say this, but the summertime is just so critical because that's really when you're forming so much of your team from a leadership standpoint and the mental toughness and all that as well. And they've had some tough, hard, raw moments this summer as a team, and I just feel like we've taken a huge step just from a leadership standpoint, guys being willing to hold each other accountable, call each other out when needed, just things like that. So overall, just I think the physical part of it, but then just the overall team dynamic, I really feel like we've made some strides in that department.
Shane, you mentioned, you touched on Lenoris a little bit earlier. When you bring a guy like that in here, I mean, he could have probably won the starting job at a lot of different places across the country. He comes in here knowing, hey, my year's not going to be spent, a lot of it on the field.
Yeah.
What does that say about the kind of person he is, the character he is, that kind of guy that you hope to have leading this team?
Yeah, I think that's a great point in that he could have won a state championship and had other schools obviously was recruiting him. He wanted to stay at home and came here. But I don't want to speak for Lenoris, but I think it was very much got a chance to sit behind and learn from Spencer for a year. You guys have heard me say it a bunch. I saw Spencer do that with Jalen Hurts at Oklahoma as well. So I think the opportunity, one, stay in state, come to the University of South Carolina. It's not about, I know everybody wants to play immediately and it's about instant gratification. I think he saw it as a year to redshirt and get stronger and learn the offense and put himself in position to have a great 2024. But not just Lenoris. I mean, I got all the respect in the world for Robbie Ashford. He's essentially did the same thing coming here to compete as well. And that, Robbie, a lot of the quarterbacks, you guys know that we were active in the transfer portal market for quarterbacks. And there are some quarterbacks that went to other schools that wanted to come here, and rightfully so because of what we did with Spencer in the portal, or what Spencer did coming here out of the portal, wanted to come here, but they wanted to be promised the starting quarterback job. And right back there, that core value says compete. I'm a fraud if we don't truly compete. So I didn't promise the job to anybody, including Robbie Ashford or Davis Bevel, but both those guys came here for the opportunity to compete. And I think it says a lot about those guys as well, that they didn't want something handed to them. Lenoris knew he needed to come in here and work. Nothing's been handed to him, but I think it goes back to him, the kind of person he is, his mom and dad, and high school program he's coming from, and saw the benefits here at South Carolina so much better and more for him long term and not just immediate.
You mentioned, just how many guys are coming back from injury, and the activation period is one thing to, hopefully prevent injury. Has there been anything else after last season in the offensive line that you guys have tried to do to, prevent those things from happening, such as the activation period?
Yeah, and don't make too big a deal out of the activation period. It was really, our guys have kind of been doing it for the weight room all summer. Like, hey, let's get warmed up before we go lift weights, and they come in here every day. So if all summer long, the weight workout started right here in this end zone where you guys are sitting for weight workouts. They came in here, they did stuff leading up to the workout in the weight room, then they went and did the running and the lifting. So it's really just a carryover from what they've been doing in the weight room in a lot of ways as well. And let's just get these guys. This was something back when Chip Kelly was coaching for the Eagles, and I went up there one time and watched them practice, and they essentially did it. They had the whole team in the weight room, and they kind of got warmed up and revved up, and then they hit the field and full speed ahead from that point for practice. So it's nothing like we're doing anything like rocket or earth-shattering. But to answer your question, I think it's all started going back literally to January in a lot of ways with how we've done things. And I talked about it in whether Dallas or the media golf last week, that we've, tweaked some things in the weight room, nothing major, but just tweak some of the exercises that we're doing, some of the things that we're doing just from a physical standpoint with their bodies, nutrition, training room, leading into the summer. We're certainly going to tweak some things. I'm going to talk to the players about it tonight, just not so much, how we practice, but the schedule during the week, maybe a little bit more conducive to taking care of their bodies, whether it be getting out of here normally in preseason camp. We're getting out of here. The players are last few years, 9:15-ish at night. This year it's going to be probably closer to 8:30 each night when they're done over here. Or each night before they leave, they're going to be required to do some sort of like recovery exercise before they get out of here, just to really try and prevent stuff on the front end as well. But then again, a lot of the injuries that happened last season, like no matter what you do, whether you have an activation period, you don't have an activation period, whether you have a walkthrough at 9:23 or 9:15, or they get out of here at 8:30 or 9:15, whatever it is. Case and Henry getting rolled up on in a game against North Carolina, you can't prevent that, but it's a lot of the soft tissue things that are preventable that you hope you do on the front that are hopefully preventable, whether it be somebody tearing his ACL covering a kickoff last year against North Carolina, or somebody trying to chase down a ball carrier on the sideline and pulling his hamstring, or somebody tearing his ACL jumping up to bat a pass the year before against Arkansas. Just trying to do as much looking at things and to prevent them, taking care of their bodies, which they've got to be a pro about. Also. And then for us too, we've gone back as myself and the training staff and the strength and conditioning staff and looking at injuries. We took 45 minutes this morning as a whole coaching staff and just went back and watched every single injury from spring practice that resulted in a player missing more than one day of practice. And okay, here's all the ankles, here's all the hamstrings, here's all the knees, we had one concussion because a guy tripped and fell and hit his head on the ground, but how can we prevent those? Were there signs leading up to it? Was we got too many people on the ground, or somebody tripped, and just looking at everything that you're doing, but also understanding, I'll shut up. I know this is like the longest answer in the history of like press conferences, but realizing that last year for us, and you said it in your question, it was primarily the offensive line centric were the injuries. But if you look at our overall injuries, it was pretty much on average with what we've had in previous years in a lot of ways, and it pretty much on average with the rest of the country in regards to the number of injuries that we had. For us, it just happened to be at one position where we lost, whatever it was, 6 to season-ending injuries and had 9 different starting lineup combinations in the first 9 games. So it was, yes, you have to look at the offensive line, and I think they've taken on a lot of that on their own. They stayed up here the whole month of May. We didn't make them. They wanted to stay because they're tired of, not necessarily you guys, but they're tired of hearing people talk about how bad they are. So they really wanted to come up here and get their bodies right, get their nutrition right, get their body weight right, work together as a unit, and get better in the month of May. So when their teammates came back in June, they're like, oh, shoot, look at what the offensive line's been doing in the whole month of May. And I think that's happened as well. And they've taken it upon themselves. And it all starts, like I said, weight room, nutrition, training room, and then anything that we can do to help them as well. So, sit down after that answer. Sorry.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
He had to sit down after that. I was fast asleep by the time he got finished with that answer. Holy smokes. That was one long, but it was interesting stuff. I think he had interesting stuff to say.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all good. It's all good. Time for recruiting here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawells. If you're heading out for the soccer match Saturday night and you don't have parking, well, you better make a phone call tomorrow to Seawells, see if they still have spots available. 803-771-7385. Actually, why don't you go out for lunch tomorrow? Josh, we got a special lunch tomorrow.
Yeah, roast beef Friday. Oh, sorry. Roast beef Friday. You got southern fried chicken and baked flounder fillets.
Flounder, fresh out of the congaree. Doesn't come any better. And the roast beef is, of course, top-notch. And the chicken is fantastic. So while you're there and you're looking for a parking spot for Gamecock football or for the soccer match, you can just talk to Cal or the guys there about that, and they'll take care of you. And you got something that needs the very best in catering coming up for you this fall, go ahead and make your plans with Seawells. Make that phone call, 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. 2026 linebacker Keenan Britt was by South Carolina on Wednesday, just in time for the dead period to commence today. So he got in under the line there. He's out of Oxford, Alabama. Came in with his parents for a close-up look at South Carolina. The Gamecocks have been strong with him to this point, and he talked to Shane Beamer and he talked to Clayton White, and he said he saw the whole campus and talked to Beamer and White, and they talked a lot about football and how he would fit in on their defense. He also met with Robbie Ashford and Vicari Swain and Debo Williams, and was very interested in the plan that White has for him. He'd be a hybrid type of player, first and second down in the box. He said they run a 3-3-5, but they base it out of a 4-2-5. So in the 3-3-5, he'll play the will backer. You got that, Chris? 3-3-5, based out of a 4-2-5, but in a 3-3-5, he'll play the will backer. Love it.
Okay, because the 4-2-5, they would not have a weak side linebacker, right? They just have two middle linebackers.
That's right.
How did they determine what the two guys are called?
Well, I guess one is Sam and one is a Mike.
Weak side, maybe so.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't necessarily have a Mike. I don't know. But yeah, I got all of that.
Yeah. And Beamer, kind of put the hard sell on him as to why he should pick South Carolina, but he didn't pressure him, he said. So he said South Carolina is definitely up there with him, as he's going to be announcing coming up here soon. He's announcing on August the 10th. So he's ready to get it over with. And he was at Oregon last weekend, and he's got South Carolina, Oregon, Florida, Tennessee, and Ole Miss as his schools. 110 tackles last season with 10 sacks and 20 tackles for loss. He can also play as an edge rusher. USC sent out official offer to Riverside receiver Mikael Skinner today. Today was the first day that you could officially offer the 2025 class, which is a joke. I mean, it's a joke. This is what the NCAA, they did not see how foolish it is. Coaches have been offering players for months and taking commitments for months. But today is the day it becomes official. Everything else has been, maybe I'm offering you and maybe you're going to commit to me and maybe I'm going to. No. Real offers have been made. Real commitments have been taken. But the NCAA says you can't make an official offer. Just another rule that gets abused and nobody pays attention to it. But I mentioned Skinner because he's been committed to Cincinnati, but is looking at South Carolina. So official offer there. He was at South Carolina Tuesday. They also sent out an official offer to offensive guard Javon McFadden, 6'5", 300, of Upper Marlboro, Maryland. And I hadn't talked a whole lot about him. He hasn't visited South Carolina, I don't think. He's been to Ohio State for an official visit and their spring game, but might be someone to keep a watch on into the season. Tonight, USC offered defensive tackle Joseph Mbachow, 6'6", 285 of Cameroon and Loganville, Georgia. Today, 2026 Gaffney quarterback Javon Gilmore committed to Arkansas. It's a kid that played at Ben Lippen last year and had a very good spring and summer and really blew up in the recruiting circles and had some big-time offers. South Carolina and Clemson, however, not among them yet. Shane Beamer did offer last night wide receiver Jackson Rep, 5'8", 160, Christ Church. He ran at USC's camp on Friday. We noted it back then. He clocked a 4.3. USC is his second P4 offer. Boston College offered in April. Other D1 offers include Buffalo, Air Force, and Georgia State. Several FCS offers, Furman, Charleston Southern, and Princeton. He caught 63 balls last season, 1,510 yards, 27 touchdowns, all-purpose yards 2393, and total of 32 touchdowns. So speed, you can't coach speed, can you?
No, that or in basketball size.
No, you can't coach height, you can't coach speed. Some upcoming announcements, a big couple of days if you're South Carolina. Got several players who are going to pop, and maybe Clemson too. So tomorrow, Juan Gaston, a big offensive tackle out of Georgia, a USC target. Georgia seems to be the favorite there. Also tomorrow, wide receiver Dylan Alfred, Clemson target, will finally, hopefully, announce for either Clemson or Ole Miss. Also tomorrow, Kendall Daniels, safety out of Virginia, who was thought to be committing to South Carolina months ago, but hasn't done anything. And Clemson's been involved with him as well. He's announcing tomorrow at some point. Saturday, you've got USC offensive lineman target Jalen Gilchrist announcing. Also Saturday, USC going back to Gilchrist, South Carolina, Maryland looked pretty strong with him, one way or the other. Jared Smith, defensive end out of Alabaster, Alabama, USC target. Likely, according to the analysts, to pick Auburn. They've been pointing that way. And on the 18th, Mike Tyler, tight end from Hammond, Duke, LSU, and West Virginia, as things stand now with him. So those are upcoming announcements to be looking out for. Okay, there you go. About to put the wraps on this puppy. So more from Clemson and South Carolina tomorrow night. And Mike Morgan, by the way, obviously you noticed he wasn't with us tonight. Traveling, Morgan on the move. He'll be with us tomorrow night, probably at 6:30. Final thoughts, Chris?
The NFL is looking at testing an automated first down measurement system, Phil. More technology coming to the game. Don't know if it'll be in tonight's preseason, but it will be somewhere along the line during preseason.
We're robots. We're all robots. See you tomorrow.